Hello and welcome again to the How to Craft Network. I'm Simon Williamson. I'm here from AVAGO-INK Designs. Thanks for joining me today on a Monday. I can see lots of you have already joined already. So we've got Elizabeth, Bridget, May, Irene. Somebody said they might nod off though. I think it was Elizabeth. So if you nod off, we'll get someone to text you, love. Don't worry. Anyway, thanks for joining us. If you haven't already with the notifications, if you want to just tick that, then you'll get any notifications of any changes that we do. It just keeps you up to date with all the information, and if there's any changes over the next coming weeks, you get notified of that as well, which is brilliant. So also on the How to Craft Network, it's a really good source for inspiration. So if you've got a couple of minutes, go and have a look at that. There's some brilliant brands in there. You've got your Pretty Penny, your Stamps by Me, your Amala, some really good demonstrations. I've got to say, I do dip into that for inspiration from time to time as well. So another inspiration source for you. Let's get down to his demonstration. So his first one today, I do this lovely little cute card using the owls. I'm just going to show you how to layer this one up and do that midnight sky behind it. So let's get started. So to start off, I've already cut out just the central panel, and this is what I'm going to do the wood design on. So this is going to replicate this area here. I'm just going to bring up my stamping platform. If you've got any questions as we're going, just feel free to put them in the comments and I'll answer them for you. And I'm using one of the Thirsty Brush wood panel stamps that I got in my stash. So let's put that on first. It should just reach across, but I've trimmed it quite well. Let's get that picked up. Got a few more people joining us now. So we've got Denise and Roxy Lee. Hello, welcome. Oh, you've got your cuppa and you settled down to watch these. And I give that a good press. Make sure we get all that detail in. And it's a really quick stamp, this from the Thirsty Brush range. And I like the fact you can extend it. So I'm just going to do another press on that one. Make sure I get all that detail in there. Brilliant. I'm just going to move this piece down now. And I'm just going to swing this stamp round. I can get some detail on this top bit. Just put my magnets back on. And pick that back up. And we'll just ink the top of this stamp. And I'm happy with that. Take my stamp back up. Well, I've got my stamping platform out. I'm actually going to do the card blank as well. So I just want to get some of this. If I just lay this one down, you can see it. You see these like coffee beans going around the edge? So I don't need to worry about covering the whole of the centre bit. I am just going to bring in the coffee beans from the owl collection back in stamp. There's a nice big one. And I'm just going to lay it over the edge. Put the magnets in the middle so we make sure that's secure. And same again, I'm just going to stamp the bit of the bit of the stamp that we use, so we don't need to ink it all. Give that a good push down. Liking that. And let's move this stamp down to the side now. I get some down there. Oh, hi, Janet and Dave. Thanks for joining us. I'm just going to turn this around again. We'll layer that onto the top bit here. And if it don't line up perfectly, you really won't notice this, it'll be fine. It's just to give a bit of depth to that background. And we're just going round all these edges. And then the final bit, I'm going to put onto this bit. There you go. You can see we've got a nice border now going around as cards. So we're going to put a central image on this in a bit, but just where I got the stamping platform, it was worth getting that bit done. So just move that to one side. Right, so going back to his wood grain panel now. So I'm going to cut out an aperture in the centre, and that's going to be for his little owls to be peeping through. So I've just brought like a circle die that I got in my stash. I'm going to put that, just centre it towards the top. Let's get a little bit of masking tape to hold that in position. Just pop that through the die cutter. It's a bit weird, the weather here. It's a bit hot and cold. It's don't know what to do. I think I saw in the comments that it's been raining somewhere. So definitely not the typical weather for this time of year though, is it? I'll just slide that out. Get rid of that piece, which we don't need that. Put that in my stash for another project. We've cut that one out. And then just to neaten this edge up, I'm going to put like a darker circle around it. I've just got a scrap of brown that's just contrasting colour. And I'm going to cut out almost like a ring. I'll just make sure that doesn't slip with a bit more masking tape. There we go. And we'll just pop that through. So showers down here in, what do I have to say that, David? So you've got showers. Just wait until I go out, then it's going to be doors. Oh yeah, you're going out, Elizabeth, aren't you? You're going for an eye test, I think. Yeah, I work in an optician's, so I noticed you were going for an eye test. I think that was just subconscious on my part. Let's just move them out of the way. All right, so I'm just going to bring in a piece of scrap paper. And because this is quite one colour, this card, I'm just going to give it a little bit of tone by using some distress ink. I'm using the walnut stain. And it's just going to take that wood effect down a little bit. So we just darken them corners a little bit. There's a little bit more depth to it as well, doesn't it? Trying not to be too uniform. I want some lighter and darker areas. There we go. I'm happy with that. I'll just bring that over. And then this little ring that we cut out, I'm just going to secure this over this aperture. So a little bit of glue on the back. A bit more on that edge. And it does this a jagged effect. It don't matter if it don't line up perfectly. It just gives that kind of look as if it's like a hole in a tree trunk. Give that a good push down. Okay, we're going to put that to one side for a second. And then what we need to do now is make a little characters on our tree branch for them. So I brought in another piece of card. I'm just going to put my stamping platform again. Oh, these magnets are too strong. There we go. So I've got two of our little owl characters. Put them into place. And then I've also brought that really big tree kind of stamp that we had in the owl collection. So you can see it's really good, this one, for if you want to do longer projects. But I'm just going to use one of them on its side. So let's get this into here so it doesn't miss the area. I'm happy with that. Let's move that magnet to that side to hold that. Make sure that's all stuck down. A good push down. I'm just going to do the owls just one more time so we make sure they're as crisp as they can be. Here we go. Just move these stamps back. Oh, I've got inky fingers again. And then I've just got the dies to cut out the owls. Let's get those taped over. And this little owl is a cute one. This one, he's got a little mug in his hand, keep him warm. And the other one's holding a little love art. So we'll just get them into place. I'm just going to trim off this branch. And I'll put these through the die cutter. And while that's going through, I'm just going to just roughly chop around this branch to give it a little bit of a shape for us. Don't have to be too precise. I'll bring our cute little owls back in. We've got our two owls and we've got a tree branch there. So I'm just going to take this down a little bit as well to make it a bit darker using that distress ink again. So I'll just get my scrap of paper back over. It just takes that kind of light colour off it, so it's a little bit too light for this. I want it to be a bit darker. Lovely. Right. And now what we need to do, we need to do this really lovely backgrounds, this kind of like night skies. Quite mystical how it's done. There's different colours in there, some pink, some white. I'll show you how to do that now. I've got a piece of white stamping card. I'm going to use the sticky bit off a post-it note. I'm just going to cut a moon shape. It doesn't have to be exact, just so it looks kind of moon shape to you. Just going to take that one round. And trust me, even if it looks like a banana, go with it. I'm going to stick that into place. That's going to mask off that area so we don't get any ink on it. And then I'm going to bring in two of these colours that I've got here. I've got the Distress Oxide Blueprint Sketch and the Picture Raspberry. I'm going to start off with the Blueprint Sketch. Now I want to go quite dark on this. I'm going to just start off lightly going over the moon area. But I am going to put a bit of pressure on to get quite a dark tone for this. I'm just going to build that up. Don't worry about them circles on this sponge because they are going to disappear. If you've got the time, you could always start off lighter and then build it up more gradually and you won't get as many marks. But if you're going to go for full pressure, it does mask all the marks anyway. So let's just build that up. Making sure there's a few deeper patches as well as lighter. And just take that down a bit. Okay, I'm happy with that for now. I'm just going to swap over to the picked raspberry colour. And because these oxides go on top of each other, I'm just going to add a bit of this pink on the top just to give it a little bit of a, like a bit of a, I don't know the effect, I'm trying to think of the words for it, but it breaks up the sky. It's a bit more mystical, like there's a bit of depth to it. I'm just going to put some of that pink in there. And I'm just going to blend it into the blue areas. It's not like a blob. Okay. Take the inks out the way. Just get my paintbrush. I mean, because of the oxides and the rack with water, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a splatter with some water to create a bit more depth. So I don't want to do big splatters. I want almost like little twinkling stars in the background. Just move that up a bit so you can see it. And obviously, the longer you leave this on, the more bleached it will look. We'll just give that a second to bleach that out. And just get... I should have lifted enough, so I'm just going to block this on here. You can see, it's hard for you to see on the camera, I don't know if you can pick it up, but there's like almost like little stars in the background now forming, which is brilliant. I'm just going to use my pokey tool now to take off our banana. That should have created a nice masked moon shape. If it'll come off, here we go. And then I can also go in as well with a white pen. This is one of those gel pens, just put some brighter white spots in as well, so it gives a little bit more depth. I'll just choose a few of them. Just do like little crosses, as if they're twinkling. Okay. So I've got a nice kind of starry background now with a little bit of mood in it with the pinks and the blues. You can see that with the splatters and the white pen, just brings that out a little bit. So let's build this card up then now. So I've got my card blank. I know that that's going to go in the centre, but what I just need to check is where that's going to line up. I'm going to bring that down a little bit. That's better. I'm just going to trim off this little bit so I don't think it's a bit too long for the card I'm doing. Just move that over there. Just take a bit off this bit. Ooh. Line all over. Okay, so if I put that there, and I can just use this as a gauge to see if the moon's where it wants to be. I'm really happy with the position of that, so I know that's where I'm going to go. Let's just get a bit of glue on here. That down. Just lift that corner up where I didn't get any glue. There you go, we'll just push that down, make sure that's nice and secure. And this is our little tree branch. What I want to do is stick this on the back, almost like a perch at the bottom. So you can have it any angle that you like, but I'm going to have it straight across like that, I think. I'm just going to turn this over and secure this with 2 blobs of glue. Set that down, make sure that's set. And while it's upside down, I'm going to put some foam pads on this so it raises it and give it some depth. Let's bring those in. Don't be stingy with your pads. You don't want it to sag deer in the middle. It'll ruins it. So let's make sure we've got enough of these going on around this aperture. Put one over there. Just take those all off. My carpets are full of these little backs of the these sticky buds and things. I'm going to get that nice and centered. There we go. With that nice push down. We'll put our big owl where he wants to be standing. I think he needs to stand at this side. A little baby one, just here. And before we put a sentiment on, which we're going to make in a second, I'm just going to put a little bit of red glitter on this love art so it kind of stands out a little bit more. So I've got my good old faithful stickles. Just put that heart in. I'm just going to put this up to the top now while we just make the sentiment to go with it. And I have got one from the Owl Collection as well, saying thanks for Owl that you do. A nice little pun of a stamp there. Ooh. Just stamp this onto a scrap of card. I'll just making sure it was the right side. I thought it was a bit darker the other side. Could push down on that. I'm happy with that. Samantha says looking lovely. Bridget says looking good. Oh, I'm glad you like it. Try and think of something different every week for you all. And I try and think of a little bit more in-depth demonstration and one that's a little bit faster. This one's a little bit more in-depth, but I don't think it's unachievable for most of you. That you could have a go at this. Have a go at this. I'm just going to trim this down. Not going to use a die for this, we're going to do it by eye. Get rid of those little scraps. And then I'm just going to quickly mount this onto some black card. I'm not going to use glue for this, just because I don't want it to move around when I'm doing it. I'm just going to mount that up to the edge with a fine black border. And this is just so it lifts it a little bit. See, it looked a little bit like it was lost without the black edging. I can just trim that down again. This will just help draw your attention to the sentiment. And then I've got a little bit of burlap that I had in my stash. Let's just cut that at an angle. It goes there. And we'll cut that bit over there. I think that'll look good. Get some glue on that. I'm going to put quite a bit on this so it soaks in. There you go. And a bit of glue on the back of this. Let's move all my bits out of the way. And there we go. Our little owl scene. So it's like a little wood panel in a tree, isn't it? Almost like looking into the night sky with those little stars in the background. Elizabeth says she'll have a go at this later. That's it. I forget my own logo, don't I? AVAGO, it's favourite AVAGO. So that's our first demonstration. So what we're going to do now is going to run some inspiration from the stamp collections that we offer at AVAGO while I set up for the next one, which is a really clever one. It's a really quick demo and an easy background technique. So I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Roxley makes it look fab cards. Thanks, Roxley. Appreciate the comment. And welcome back. So I'm glad you liked the first demonstration. I can see from your comments that you like that, so that's brilliant. This next one's a little bit more colourful, and it's going to be based on a twisted easel design. So if I show it you like this, it'll stand up like that. So I've got Love You, and it's all in red and blue theme. Just a quick, simple card, this one, but it looks like you've taken ages to make it, and that's what we aim for, isn't it? Things that we can make a little bit faster when we need to. So let's get started. So on this one, we're actually going to make his own stamp. I've done that by using an old stamping block that I've got that I don't really use anymore. I'm going to put some double-sided tape runner on the back, just make sure that's really sticky and it's towards the edge as well. And I want to do, I'm going to put some string onto there, make sure it's secured firmly. I'm just going to wrap it around the block. I don't want it to be uniform. I want these lines to be all different positions, whichever way you want them. Give a bit of a difference, really. And you can always move them afterwards, but it does allow you to roll it, this glue. Let's keep pushing that round. That down. There's that one out a little bit. Right, and I can trim that off now at the back, so it's stuck with that tape runner. We've got a nice bit of texture on there, can you see? And it's not uniform. You could make it uniform, you could even do it one way and then do it the other way. It's entirely up to you. I think Tony's done a similar demonstration with elastic bands, and that works quite well as well. But I wanted all the detail, not just the rose bits, to be coming on. What I want to do now is get some stamping card. And I have brought in some of the little eyes ink pads. I've got Grenadine Red and the Outrunner Blue. Did I say that one? And I like these because they're really fast and they're a brilliant shape for this kind of card. So I don't want it to be too precise, but all we're going to do is actually just use the pad to do a square print. I'm going to do one in the corner. So we'll put one up there. And one over here. Excuse my head if it's in shot. I'll just try to do it from this side. I'm going to do that. One at this bottom, one over at this side. I'm going to do one in the middle now. I'm going to swap to the red. I'm going to fill in the other areas. So we've got a simple red one here. Red one over here. And honestly, don't worry if they're a little bit wobbly because it actually adds to the effect. And I'm going to do the same for this other piece of card now. So I'm going to do red in the corners. Let's put the red out of the way. And then I'll go back in with the blue. I don't get my big head in short. There you go. So it doesn't matter if it's wobbly or not, because it really doesn't, honestly, I promise you. You'll like this effect afterwards. I also had this thought afterwards that if you did it in lots of different colours, it looks a bit like one of them Rubik cubes. You could maybe use that as well. Right, so now we're going to take our little string stamp that we've made. I'm just going to dip it into a black ink pad, make sure it's covered. And because it's string, you might need to just give it a couple of presses to make sure you've got a good coverage of ink on it. Here we go. So I'm going to do all my red ones doing one way. So I'm going to go across on the red. And I'm going to turn it the opposite way. So we do the blue ones going the other way. I'm going to do the same for the other one that we've made. I'm trying my best not to get inky fingers, I tell you. Let's try the red ones. And if you go the wrong way, it doesn't matter. I'm a bit OCD, I like it to match as much as possible. And then do the blue ones. It's almost a little bit retro, isn't it? I really like this effect. There you go. So we've got 2 panels. So let's put them over there for a second to dry. I'm just going to wipe my fingers a second so I've got black ink on them. Okay. So I've got a little black square card and I've just creased it along this diagonal. But I'm wearing black today. Let me just see if I can start. There you go. You can see that better. So I've creased it on the diagonal. I'm just going to make sure that that's folded as much as possible. So I'll just press that down. And this is what's going to create a twisted easel, so it's going to stand up like this, if you can see that. So I'm going to open up and stand like that, and that gives us basic shape. So the first thing I'm going to do is I need to put a square mat onto the front so that when it opens, it gives you a full-size opening rather than a triangle. Let's get some tape onto this. I'll make sure that lines up. Worry about my head if it's in the way again. Just give that a good push down. You can see already, that's perfect now. For when it opens, it will stand up with a full display panel. I'm going to simply mat these 2 now onto this. So let's just use tape runner. And get that one in the centre. Give that a push down. Making sure there's no wet ink anywhere. I'm going to do the same on the front panel. It's surprising, isn't it, how that string looks really like almost it's been done with charcoal. So we've got the base of our card made now, so that's perfect. So I'm just going to put that to one side. And we're now going to concentrate on his sentiments and his little character. So I'll bring in the plates. So I've got some of Tony's sentiment stamps, dies rather. I've got love and you. So I'm going to trim these down a little bit. Got love on that one. Love, you, and love. I'm going to put them all through at one go. And we've got all those bits done together. You're liking the string then? I thought it were good. Be nice to see it in colours as well. So maybe you could do like a dark purple on top of a light purple square and keep it in the same tone. It would be quite nice. And we'll just get these out. Got the U. Make sure that tape doesn't tear it. And we've got the love. Ooh. Just move all these bits out of the way. So I'm just going to mount these onto the backing ones so that they have time to set. And use a bit of glue for this. Obviously, just be careful. You don't want the glue to squirt out, but... Or if you are a bit cautious with the glue, and you could always use glitter card, and then if it does leak out, it's got a glitter background. I don't think you'd notice it as much. I'll just pop that on there. That a nice push down. And then we'll do the same for the love one. A bit of glue on them fatter bits. They really do line up well, these, I've got to say. We've got love and you, so we'll just put them to one side. And now we're going to get our main character now, so we're going to get this dinosaur, and we're going to get him in red and blue theme to match the card, so it's all in two tones. Now I've got a piece of stamping card. I'll just get my stamping platform. And move them out of the way a bit. There we go. I'm just going to simply stamp him on there. I'm happy with that. Just get that stamp off. I've had a week of cleaning all my stamps so they stick properly rather than falling off, so I'm impressed with myself. I'm going to move a few things out of the way. I'm just going to bring in the watercolours now. You could use whatever medium you want in this one, but I'm going to use watercolour just so we can get them vibrant colours going on. So let's do... And you can build this up and you can do what you prefer, but I just wanted to get some really vibrant colour on this one. A little bit more water into there. And you could easily do this with the colours that you choose for the card in as well. Paint out some of my brush mark. And down this leg. And don't worry, I mean, you can always go back in later and more detail if you want to. Just get them bold colours straight onto it. It just makes it take shape faster. I'm going to clean my brush off. And I'm just going to go to a blue colour now. We'll use this one here. And just do his under his tummy. Do his little nose look. Do his nostrils in blue. And his eyelids. I'm giving some blue toes. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to quickly just blast it off with a heat gun, seeing it's a little bit wet. Nearly there. There you go. I quite like actually how it pulls up when it's wet and you try and force dry it with the hot gun. It kind of gives it a little bit more depth on its stomach area. You can see it's like almost like it's got light tones put in automatically. So I'm going to just get my die that corresponds to our dinosaur. I'll just get a piece of masking tape. Pop that on, make sure it lines up. Don't want to ruin it at this stage. And we just pop that through. I think you'll all be trying that string technique now, won't you? That's good. And it's such a simple thing, because we've all got a ball of string somewhere, or wool. I think it'd all work the same. Just get that out of there, make sure it doesn't rip it. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to mount it onto some black, just because I think if you have the white edge straight onto this card, it gets lost a little bit. So I want to give it a bit more of a border. I'm just going to use a tape runner just so it doesn't move. So I haven't really got time for it to glue set at the moment. I'm just going to give it a bit more of a border by cutting the black around it. And it doesn't have to be as precise as the initial image. Just give it a little bit more depth. It'll make our image pop a little bit more. Get rid of that. Can need some new scissors, they're not as sharp these as my other ones. Like all crafters though, I don't like to throw anything away. I'm sure we're all the same, aren't we? Right, so now we can start assembling this card up. So just be careful with doing a twisted easel that you get things in the right position. So always look at your card and then you'll be able to see when it opens up, you want your sentiment at this top edge. It's quite tempting to put it the wrong way when it's laid flat. Okay, I'm going to tilt this round to me just so I can see this as we're doing this. I'll get some foam pads. I'm going to go for Same as the other one, love you, so love on the top bit. I'm going to put my love on this bit. And our friendly dinosaur. On this bit, so I want him to be stood about there. And have his little tail popping off as well, so I think that adds to it. And we'll get some foam pads on the U. Get my bits out of the way. And I'm going to see where you want to hold this. I want it to stand about there, so I need to put my U just there. It holds it correctly. And there you go. Really good card, using as handmade string stamp. A bit of a retro feel, I love it. And I love the red and blue. I quite like red anyway, so all my flat's red and black, so it's my kind of colours. But it's just vibrant, isn't it? It's a really fast thing, and we can all wind a bit of string around a square box and use it as a stamp. And it gives you a really easy kind of card. So, I hope you enjoyed that. Just bring the other one in that we made. Move that one out of the way. So that's the two that we made today. We've got the owl card, which is quite a neutral craft card theme, but it's got that lovely starry night in the background. And then we've got the really quick card using your actual small ink pads just to do the main background effect and the string stamp. So I hope you've enjoyed those two today. You seem to be with the comments, that's really good. I don't know if you was on last week, but I did also mention that I'll be going to the Stamping Together Festival. So if you can join us, it'll be really exciting. I don't believe the tickets are on sale yet, because we're still waiting for government guidelines, but it is penciled in for Saturday the 30th of October, and it's in the Wirral. So if you can get, it'll be really nice to see you. Actually see you face to face for a change. It'll be brilliant. But I hope you enjoyed that, and that's it from me today, and I will see you next week. So thanks for joining us, and see you next week.